Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power. And Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's coming up to 9:15. How are you doing? Thank you for keeping it locked. We're getting into the final hour of the Situation Room today. And as we get into this final hour, let me tell you something. This is about banking, City. Senor, we've been talking about banking and what banking is all about, right? And we're saying yes. If you I want to put your mic on there. Yes, City. So
it's on.
Say hello.
Hello.
Say testing.
Testing. We're watching.
1 2 3 1 2 3. Say check.
I am not doing anything of that sort.
Check. Mic check. 1 2.
Check your mic if you want.
Check 1 2.
I will check my mic. Check 1 2.
Very good. You see, this is what happens when people follow orders. Mics work. You able to say check?
I can see you.
Your mic is off.
And you can hear me.
Yeah, your mic is off.
Oh, my city.
Yeah. So we're going to have a conversation ahead of next week, the 25th, which usually we mark 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. That starts on the 25th of November, going all the way to the 10th of December. And these are very, very important 16 days because the world has decided, you know what, there's a big issue across the globe and we're going to deal with it globally, all of us. And today, ahead of that, we want to have a conversation with three people. Sylvia Minor, who's the Regional Gender Communication Specialist at UN Women East and Southern Africa.
Hey.
Why are you leaving out the West?
No. Every region to stand for itself.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Rachel Kagoya, who's Executive Director at Growth Kenya. Hello.
Hi.
And Kadubul Oganga, who is a Program Specialist, Gender Statistics Advisor at UN Women. Good morning.
Good morning.
Karibuni sana to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Asante
you.
sana Latin.
You all look very good.
Asante.
You're all looking very healthy. And you're all looking quite like the person I'm going to describe. Are you an affluent Kenyan looking to take control of your wealth and plan for prosperity and for your future? That's the three of you. Say yes.
Yes.
Very good.
Absolutely.
Now, look no further than Standard Chartered Priority Banking. That's your trusted partner dedicated to helping you build, grow, and protect your wealth for today, tomorrow, and forever. So there's build, there's grow, there's protect. All right?
Yeah.
You don't just build, grow, and then it goes. You don't build and then it doesn't grow. You don't grow for nothing. It is for yourself and for your future and for your future generations. You want to pass on and hand over something. That's one thing that we all taught.
Yeah.
I mean, baba yako alikuachia nini? Mama yako alikuachia nini? Utawachia nini? Watu. Right? So this is where Standard Chartered Bank comes in. And they say priority banking is the way. They have Standard Chartered is the only commercial bank in Kenya today that is truly global. That's not just in Kenya, not just in Africa, but also outside Africa. Okay? So with that wealth of experience and wealth of network, they say that if you come in and we start talking to you about how you can build, grow, and protect your wealth, we can talk about how you can even invest in various other currencies. We can talk about how you can invest not just here, but also globally. How we can tell you how you can put in your money here, investing here, watching it mature, watching it grow. How we can tell you, all right, so what is your plan? What are you thinking of? How they can walk the journey with you so that you can start planning for your succession, even planning for your retirement. When you want to sit back and money has been working for you, so money starts paying you money.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So the money pays you money because you thought hard.
Keeping your money busy.
Very good. Priority banking by Standard Chartered. Okay? Hiya. City is going to welcome you with the day's proverb. For this couple of, is it the fourth week now or is it the third week? The third week that we've been south of Sahara. Excuse me, Miss Minor. South of the Sahara.
This is the third week.
And north of the Limpopo.
Yes.
Is that your region?
That's exactly it.
Yes. Where are we?
We are in the Republic of Burundi.
Do you cover that as well? Burundi?
That would be in the Western Central Africa Regional Office. But we all work together in sincerity.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Western, Eastern, Central.
Of Africa.
Of Africa.
Okay. We're in Burundi.
According to the cow, God has a wet nose.
According to the cow, God has a wet nose. Who wants to go first?
Okay, so cows have a wet nose to begin with. Could it be the cows think so highly of themselves that they liken God to themselves?
That is a very interesting perspective. Now that you've spoken on behalf of the cows, yes.
I don't know. I'm thinking wet in terms of the rain, mvua. And so thinking the cow, by the time it's making that analysis, is because it's been raining, and so there's food. And the cow is just acknowledging that there's a source of that food, who is God. I think so.
That's a good one. Okay.
I must say it's an interesting proverb, but probably just like what Rachel says, it means the cow acknowledges that for it to have the wet nose, there is food, and it must have come through some, supreme being else somewhere. Yes.
Sylvia, I like yours.
Out of the box, huh?
Yeah. That cow thinks that it is created in the likeness of God.
This is it.
Right?
Or God is like it.
Oh, God.
Conversely.
So what does that mean?
Well,
What would the proverb then be saying?
what would be saying? I guess that there's an interconnectedness between everything in creation or nature. City doesn't like my description. Yeah, but basically
go-
that
you
everything,
go
everything links with the other. Everything speaks to the other. Yes, that we are all the same, so to speak.
So
What?
you're saying human
Cows
beings
and
and
God.
cows are the same.
No.
Cows and
That's
God
the
are the
cow's
same.
perspective. Speaking as the cow, yes.
The-
There's that interconnectedness between the cow and the supreme being. Or interconnectedness of life.
You put it well. You see, this is the thing about asking you your opinion, because that's what we've heard, and that is good because it provides you that diversity. Now, what do you think it means?
Can we ask Latif to answer that?
He will not answer.
No. Me, I am not. Mimi siko kwa hii exam.
Hauko kwa hiyo exam.
Mimi ni AP. Niko na
You're the
bunduki.
Umejitoa.
Mimi niko na bunduki hapa nje. No cheating.
No cheating. Why are you looking at your neighbor? Why are you scratching?
What do you think it means?
I don't know, CT.
Today's proverb is tough. I saw somebody, Alcags had attempted, he has actually sent me a message, let me look for it. And he says, you know what, today's proverb, I think it has a meaning. Where is this message from Alcags? Imepotea. Maybe I'll read it tomorrow.
Tomorrow is good.
Even tomorrow.
is good. No,
Even tomorrow is good.
No, tomorrow is good.
Oh, here it is. That proverb for today, my interpretation, a cow only sees as far as it knows. Like many people.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
So where does the God aspect come in there? Because I agree, that's a good perspective, but where is the God aspect in that?
Consider also the community from whence this particular proverb comes. What is the relationship with cattle?
Aha, you said Burundi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should you tell us?
What do you mean? I've just given a hint.
Yeah, we don't know. What's the relationship between the people and the cattle?
Well, they are cattle people. Yes.
Cattle are revered.
Yes. They are cattle people.
So they see things through the eyes of a cow.
Well, the cow is revered, as you correctly put it.
Or the cow is right up there next to God.
Well, the cow provides you with very many things. The right up next to God are the Hindus. They're the ones who have that relationship with
Yes.
cows. But they are not the only people who look at cows as the giver and provider of life, cows as the provider of sustenance, and very many other things, because cows are used for plowing, cows are used for food, there's hardly anything you
is
for
it.
clothing,
Yeah.
there's hardly anything you don't use cows for.
That's true.
For
Yes.
swag.
Yes, exactly. No,
For those
absolutely.
fancy
Yep.
leather products.
Yep. Okay.
That's a good one.
16 days of activism against gender-based violence. This is an annual international campaign that kicks off on the 25th of November every year, which is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, running until the 10th of December, which is the Human Rights Day. It was started by activists at the inauguration of the Women's Global Leadership Institute in 1991, used as an organizing strategy by individuals and organizations around the world to call for the prevention and elimination of violence against women and girls. I'm reading this from the UN Women website. Every year, the Unite campaigns focuses on a specific theme. We'll talk about that for this year because this is what the UN Secretary General in 2008 did, launch the campaign called Unite by 2030 to end violence against women, which runs parallel to the 16 days of activism. So a lot has been happening since, these days, right? But then if we look at the journey then to the journey now, and the theme for this year is Unite, Invest to Prevent Violence Against Women and Girls, are we saying that have we been making progress? Let me start with that. Have we been making progress, Sylvia?
Yeah, I think, first of all, this is a very important season, I think, for anybody in the gender space, but I don't want to limit it to the gender space because we all live in the same society, which is more or less half men and women. So this affects all of us. Has there been progress? Maybe we need to see where we're coming from to know where we are and then determine whether there's progress. But I think as an intro, I would say yes, there has been progress, but a lot more needs to be done. So I'll say that from a regional perspective, and I know Campbell and Rachel here will talk about it much more deeply from a Kenyan perspective. But there's progress, although it's kind of mixed. It's a mixed bag. We have issues such as conflict, humanitarian crisis, and other such issues which have rolled back some of the gains. We're still recovering from some of the effects of COVID on GBV, including SGBV. When I talk about conflict, of course, we think about countries like Sudan, which are really still very much in the thick of it. And there are some data points that are very alarming, like 6.7 million people in the country are at risk of GBV, and some of those include men and boys. So, to answer you in short but long, is there progress? There is, but there are a lot of red flags as well.
Rachel, you work as Groot Kenya, you work in the grassroots. That's the Groot part of the grassroots. And I'm sure you deal a lot with these cases, on a daily basis. Is it an increase? Is it more awareness? How would you describe it? Because presently, the whole country is actually having this conversation about, femicide and all, and GBV, SGBV, right? So is it that we are now more aware, and so there's higher awareness and therefore higher reporting, or is it that there's an increase?
I would say both, Latif. Both in the sense that, yes, is that awareness. And now, because people are speaking up, a lot of the campaigns that we've been running for many, couple of years now, is we say, speak up, speak out, do not be silent. So we believe that, yes, there's quite a number of women and young women and, all those who are affected who are speaking up. But at the same time, Latif, there is an increase that is undisputable because we are all here in Kenya and we are watching the news and we are seeing what's happening. But at Groot Kenya stands for Grassroots Organizations Operating Together in Sisterhood. We have who we call GBV responders. They are gender-based violence responders who are uko tunasemanga mashinani in the communities. And what they're telling us is that every other time they're being called, there's an alarm, there's a call, a distress call, an SOS call to help of a young woman, of an old woman, the diversity of it all. When you think about how we started this year, Latif, we started this year with a march. We're calling it the Femicide March. And if there's any indicator is to see how many people were on the streets, over 10,000. And these were organic people who came up to really say, we are here to speak up. So when we think in terms of increase, I would say both in terms of reporting, but also in terms of what tunasikia huko kwa ground. The other statistic that was very recent is the one that has also gotten us really angry and really becomes very unacceptable, because what we are saying is that every single day in the last 3 months, there's been a woman who has died because of femicide. Dying because you exist as a woman. I think then we can confidently say the increase is on both from where we sit. Yeah.
Let's bring in the statistician. Okay. Now, this is now where we should have the undisputed data. Is there an increase? And is the increase attributable to awareness, or is it just attributable to actually cases of gender-based violence increasing?
Yes, thank you, Eric. I think from my perspective, in the context of data, I would say that there's been a lot of progress in terms of even the ability to be able to measure the cases of gender-based violence. And so it's quite important that also to policymakers, they are really able to see that the impacts of some of the policies that are coming up are informed by evidence. And by this, I would like to refer back to currently in the country, we have GBV as one of the triple threats alongside HIV and teenage pregnancy. And so along with that, you'll see that based on the 2022 demographic and health survey done in Kenya, just to give an example, you'll see that when you look at the percentage of women and girls, of course those in the age of 15 to 49 who have been subjected to, or who had been subjected to physical violence, especially in their lifetime, you'd see that it was quite high in terms of also looking at some of the counties like Bungoma, where it was at 62%. And so these are some of the, like now Bungoma also as a county, you'll notice that even when you look at sexual, violence, it's still one of the counties that sexual violence is high. Nationally, based on that survey, it was at 34%. But then...
I apologize.
Yes.
When you say sexual violence, what do you mean?
Of course, sexual violence comes in, or is measured in various aspects. And one of them is, when the survivor is subjected to doing forced sexual acts, or rather, they are either subjected to situations like rape and all that against their wish or their consent, then that amounts to sexual violence. And
this data covers the entire country.
This data covers the entire country.
So let me give you my raw interpretation of what you're saying.
Yes.
That there are counties that have more rapists than others.
Countries where rape occurs more frequently than others.
No, rape doesn't occur on its own.
Okay.
There is somebody who perpetrates it.
Indeed.
Yes.
So is it a reporting issue that more people are more aware, so they report more of these incidents? Or is it that there are actual incidences of rape and that the reporting measure is the same, but what is reported in some of these areas is more than others, as I said, which equals the perpetrators and rapists are more in this particular place than others?
I think this is why we undertake surveys, to really be able to help to get the real information, and especially from the victims or the survivors in this case. And as you are putting it, of course, there's been that advocacy efforts that have been put across board. And so it's really important that we are also able to collect or gather data so that we are able to also get to understand. Because if you look at the statistics, you'll realize that 71% of the perpetrators, are like intimate partners, either the husbands or the male partners to women who are in union. And interestingly, you still see that most of these survivors, when you look at the referral pathway, they begin with first going to the family members, who in some instances could also be the perpetrators. So in that context, then you'll realize that to some extent, they could also be in a way be intimidated, for them to come out and report some of these cases. And mind you, there are some communities in the country where you'll find that they would rather, resort to alternative dispute resolution mechanism, whereby they do not want to go through the non-judicial system. And this is why we keep on ensuring that there is more frequent data. So from the 2022 Demographic and Health Survey, currently the National Statistics Office is again planning to undertake another mini demographic and health survey. And so we'll also be looking forward to see that these cases are somehow also reducing, and most importantly, that the survivors are also being able to get justice. And that's why you'll see that across the country, there are a number of counties that have been able to come up with sexual and gender-based violence policies, which have in turn informed the creation of SGBV courts, so that the survivors are able to really get justice within the shortest time possible.
When you collect this data,
Yes.
is there anywhere where you consider the relationships that men have in these communities have with women? One, men have with women understanding their sexual or reproductive rights, and B, the position that women have in these communities, because it can't be that there is that degree of violence being meted against women without us asking ourselves, okay, how exactly do men relate to women in this particular community, or how? Yes.
You know, there's a lot to unpack there, yeah? And I think in a previous conversation we talked about the interlinkage with poverty. That's a huge determining factor, because the less empowered women are, and that's why we keep harping on women economic empowerment. And that's part of our mandate as UN Women for gender equality and women empowerment, because we recognize, even from anecdotal data, that once women are empowered financially, they are less likely to be subjected to some of these practices, right? Even harmful traditional practices, like even FGM and the rest, which are also considered part of GBV. So maybe we should even have started by unpacking, what is this GBV? What does it entail? It includes economic violence as well. Of course, there's emotional violence, right? Under SGBV, which is sexual GBV, we also talk about defilement and incest, right? Child marriage as well. Those are all instances of GBV. But to answer your question, Siti, about these incidents with intimate partner violence, the numbers in Kenya actually resonate with the global figures, right? So the figures that we have this year for 16 days of activism against GBV, every 10 minutes, yeah, a woman is killed globally. That was from 2023 data, global data. The year before that, it was every 11 minutes. What does
Global
that say?
data is an aggregate, is it not?
It is.
Yes.
It is. But the data actually triangulates within itself, if you can see. Those numbers resonate. Even the numbers that we got globally for GBV in COVID, when you disaggregate them down to the regional level, even as Campbell is saying, down to counties, you would find they actually resonate with the numbers that were being seen at the global level. For example, Kenya was one of the unfortunate shiners, because now, to answer your question of whether is it more reporting or the higher incidence, there was a rise, I think, to, is it 743% or 700 and something percent increase in GBV reporting during COVID. Yes,
Yeah.
I said what I said. Yes, I know, I had to look at that number
I'm not doubting you.
because I thought it was a typo.
700 and what percent?
700 and I think 43%, 700 and something percent increase in
Yes.
reporting during COVID. Of course, we know the drivers being locked in with perpetrators. But again, we see that higher incidences of GBV, especially SGBV, actually both physical and sexual, are perpetrated by people who are known
Yeah.
to the victims.
Socio-economic factors and how they contribute to this.
So I am a woman. I am at home during COVID, or even not during COVID. It could be just a regular day. Sina nguvu, sina uwezo, right? I have no job. I depend on my husband or significant other for everything. So I cannot raise my voice and complain if he does something that I do not like. Or if I make the mistake of over-salting the food. I'm using actual examples from data. Or of dashing to the neighbors to pick something and leaving the children unattended for 5 minutes. I should expect a beating. Now, what's even more disheartening, and I would even say twisted, City, is that the perceptions of women and men when it comes to GBV are very shocking. There are many women who actually think it is okay. Like, do you deserve to be beaten for burning the food? And they say yes. Do you deserve to be beaten for going to the hospital? You talked about access to reproductive health care. That was one of the huge issues even during COVID. But you see, again, COVID just brought out these issues louder, but these were issues that were underlying already. Do I believe I should be beaten for going to the health clinic without asking permission from my husband? Yes, I do. Yenyewe nilikosea. But if I'm a quote-unquote empowered women, and empowerment is a very broad term. It's not just economic, yeah? There's also information. I mean, even access to a mobile phone is part of empowerment, yeah? Access to digital technology is another level of empowerment, yeah? If I'm empowered and I'm able to call my own shots and say, you know what, I'm going to go to the shop and there's nothing you're going to do about it because I bring as much as you do to the table, so to speak, yeah? Then you see the differences. But you notice actually where poverty is higher, you're more likely to find prevalence of GBV is higher, or the incidence.
You know what I'm stuck on here?
City, I want us to take a break.
then I will.
Just get stuck there for a bit.
I am consider myself stuck.
Very good. 22 minutes to 10. Our conversation today is on 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. This begins on the 25th of November, going all the way to the 10th of December. Rachel Kagoya is the executive director at GROOTS Kenya. Sylvia Maina, regional gender communication specialist at UN Women for East and Southern Africa, and Karen Beloganga, who's a program specialist gender statistics advisor at UN Women in Kenya. Now, we've been talking about Standard Chartered and Priority Banking. Now, the email address is prioritybanking.ke@sc.com. prioritybanking.ke@sc.com. And this is because when you join the Standard Chartered Priority Banking, you'll have the support of trained, experienced relationship managers certified by the Chartered Institute of Securities and Investments. So you ask them, bring your certification, I see, they'll give it to you. They'll also tell you, they'll closely guide your wealth journey from bespoke advisory services to partnerships with trusted global fund houses like Allianz, Amundi, Franklin Templeton, and Alliance Bernstein. Your wealth is in expert hands. Imagine having your hard-earned wealth managed by people who completely understand your goals, but they also understand where best to put your money. This is what Standard Chartered is promising you today. They just say, join Priority Banking today. prioritybanking.ke@sc. SC, not SE. SC.com. prioritybanking.ke at Sylvia?
SC for cat.
SC, yes, .com. We'll be back shortly.